December 1944, the snow-covered forests of the Ardennes, while the world watched General George S. Patton orchestrate one of World War II's most dramatic relief operations at Bastogne. Another battle was unfolding that would haunt him for the rest of his life. This is the story of the Battle of the Saar, an offensive Patton himself would later call his greatest mistake of the entire war. As autumn turned to winter in 1944, Patton's Third Army had been driving relentlessly toward the German border. The general was convinced that with enough momentum, American forces could punch through the Siegfried Line and reach the Rhine before Christmas. His confidence was unshakable. He had liberated France, and now Germany itself seemed within reach, but this confidence would prove to be his undoing. The Saar region presented a formidable challenge. Ancient fortifications, dense forests, and the approaching winter created a defender's paradise. German forces, though weakened, were fighting for their homeland now. Every village, every hill, every bunker would be contested. Intelligence reports suggested German strength in the area, but Patton dismissed these warnings. He believed his army's fighting spirit could overcome any obstacle. On November 8th, Patton launched his offensive toward the Saar River and the fortress city of Metz. He deployed multiple divisions in a broad assault, convinced that aggressive action would crack German defenses. The operation began with artillery bombardments and coordinated infantry attacks. Initial progress seemed to validate Patton's optimism. American forces pushed forward, capturing small towns and slowly advancing toward their objectives. But then the weather turned. Rain transformed the battlefield into a quagmire. Roads became rivers of mud. Tanks that had been instruments of rapid warfare now struggled to move. Supply lines stretched thin. The same aggressive momentum that defined Patton's command style now worked against him. German defenders, entrenched and determined, made the Americans pay for every yard of ground. The Battle of Metz alone consumed more ammunition than Patton's entire march across France. Casualties mounted steadily. Young men died in cold, muddy foxholes fighting for villages whose names they couldn't pronounce. The fortress city held out far longer than anyone expected, its 19th-century fortifications proving surprisingly effective against modern weapons. What Patton had envisioned as a swift breakthrough became a grinding war of attrition. Meanwhile, to the north, German forces were secretly massing for their own offensive. While Patton's army exhausted itself attacking fortified positions, Hitler was preparing the Ardennes counteroffensive that would become the Battle of the Bulge. The resources Patton had committed to the Saar could not be quickly redirected. His best divisions were tired, depleted, and scattered across a wide front. When the German attack came in mid-December, Patton's army had to disengage from the Saar operation and pivot 90 degrees north, in one of the war's most impressive logistical feats. But Patton himself recognized the bitter irony. Had he maintained a stronger defensive posture instead of attacking, his forces would have been fresh and positioned to respond more effectively. The casualties suffered in the Saar had weakened his army at precisely the wrong moment. In his private diary and later reflections, Patton was uncharacteristically self-critical. He acknowledged that his aggression had been misplaced, that he had attacked where defending would have been wiser. The general, who never admitted mistakes, called this his greatest error. He had allowed his personality, his need for action and glory, to override military judgment. The Saar offensive achieved its tactical objectives eventually. Metz fell. The Siegfried Line was breached, but at what cost? Thousands of casualties, exhausted divisions, resources consumed that might have been saved for more decisive operations. Patton had proven that fortified positions held by determined defenders could blunt even the most aggressive offensives. This battle taught a hard lesson about the limits of audacity. Sometimes the boldest move is not to attack. Sometimes patience and defensive strength serve better than offensive action. For a general whose entire philosophy centered on relentless attack, this realization came at a terrible price. The snow-covered Grave in the Saar region stood as monuments to a mistake that even a great commander could not undo.